Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
A criminal case is kind of like baking chocolate chip cookies. You have to have the necessary ingredients: flour and sugar and butter and chocolate chips and whatever else goes into those chocolate chip cookies. If you have all of the ingredients, you can make chocolate chip cookies. But if you're missing any one single ingredient, you can't make chocolate chip cookies. It's a simple kind of analogy. Criminal law works the same way. We call the ingredients the elements. The state has the burden of proving each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt.
And there you go. The jury has it. Now, well, it's sit and wait. Now, who did a better job? Now, who in that room do you think both the defense as well as the prosecutors are thinking, this person, he or she could flip the balance? We're talking earlier with producer Anthony. He says, remember how fast the OJ thing was? Well, there's a little different here because essentially OJ was singular count. This is multiple counts, and he can be convicted of all three counts. He can be convicted of 2 counts, 1 account or none. All of those things are there. All these elements. So there's a lot more to think of than just one guilty or not guilty. No, you got guilty or not guilty on 3 different things. Did it rise to this level with Derek Chauvin and George Floyd? Did it rise to this level? Is it one of those levels, but it didn't rise to this level? That's what they're going to be going over and over and over again for probably the next 24 to 48 hours. They've got laptops. Outside of that, really don't have anything else. They can discuss it 24/7 if they want to, as long as they're all together. And then, of course, who did what? Did the defense do enough? Dan Abrams.
You have to understand what he had been dealing with up to that point to understand why he did what he did. The problem is that doesn't answer the question of why he was doing what he did at moment 3 in the 9-minute tape, at moment 6, at moment 8.
And they're going to ask that. Why are we here? Moment 6, moment 8. Right? That's what they're going to be asking themselves when they're there. Oh, man, you know what? Okay, good. I saw the video, and yes, he wasn't a choir boy. He didn't get in there, and then they just dragged him out and threw him down. There was a lot of stuff going on in there. And you start asking questions, and you're juxtaposing them against one another. That's what you're doing. But then there's the other side of it. What's going on outside? And what's going on outside is a lot of people angry and pissed, not just at this case. Remember, this case, the world is watching. I did a couple hits for some other shows yesterday because, that's how I do. And we were talking. I said, look, because they asked me what was it like when I lived in Europe. Nobody knew who Rodney King was. They saw the video, but they didn't really. Rodney King wasn't, and they knew what the riots. They knew about the riots. They didn't really know what the riots were for. People know who George Floyd is. The world is watching. And the fear is what could potentially happen outside. The fear is there is a fear that no matter what goes down, guilty, not guilty, there's going to be issues. The governor, he is already in a position where he said, I got to get ahead of this.
Thousands of National Guardsmen and troopers have been brought in from other states to help and assist local authorities here and are on alert as the state of emergency has been declared in the region ahead of a verdict in the trial of Derek Chauvin.
Yeah. So he's already ahead of it, which is good, as are a lot of other cities, by the way. Out here in Phoenix, we're preparing for it. Los Angeles, talked to a couple of my buddies. They're preparing for it. Chicago, Seattle, Portland's a hot mess. We already know that. If it ends in a Y, they're pissed and angry. Right? If it ends in a Y, we got to blow something up. We got to break something. We're mad. That building right there. That building. It's part of the patriarchy and racism. So we must go destroy it. That's Portland. People are bracing. We'll see if calmer, cooler heads will prevail. We'll see if there's going to be issues. I think, this is just me, judging by the things that we've seen in the past, that I do believe that there's going to be issues. I know past performance is not indicative of future, but I'm just going by, like, if I had to put dollar bills somewhere, that there's going to be some issues. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We'll talk more about this in a little bit, including the chaotic Maxine Waters. Talk about somebody who's just, it's about her. It's about her. It's all it is. It's about her. We still have a pandemic going on. We still have issues going on. And one of those issues is, hey, you know what? Great news.
We are already 90 days into our administration. And folks, we have seen American aspiration at work. We set a goal to get 100 million shots in arms in 100 days. And through the innovation of scientists, the hard work of manufacturers, and the determination of the American people, we will soon pass 200 million.
That's great, but we're kind of stuttering now. We're kind of stuttering. It's kind of plateauing. It is kind of in a situation now where we're going to have far more. You know, originally it was a seller's market. There's plenty of it, right? Bill Maher said we're going to be drowning in it by June. I said long before that we're going to have way more than we need. The people that want it will be easily able to get it, and this is without Johnson & Johnson. Kind of hit that plateau now where it's like, and the question is, what's going to happen from here if we get to a certain level where certain people, right, are who, and I'm not talking about color or anything, just people who are willing to go get it are going to go get it, and others out there are vaccine hesitant, but some just aren't. Some just aren't going to get it for whatever reason, which is going to slow things down more. Certain states, and we've talked about this yesterday, we touched on it. You got the red state, blue state. Red state, blue state. We got to put it the way it is. Red state, blue state. Red state, blue state. Some states are more hesitant. Some states that voted for Trump are a little bit more hesitant. Other states are willing to take it, no questions asked. How do we get to where we want to get to? And this is where a message from leadership, both in your state as well as from the top, of you've had the opportunity, right? We started doing this in late December. Here it is. And I'm assuming by May, June, you got to put something out there. I'd do it sooner. You've had several months to get it. You've chosen not to get it. We're not going to live our lives based on your choice not to get it. Because I don't think we can. Oregon's putting in, they sunsetted the mask. It was supposed to sunset, right? The mask mandate. They've decided we're just going to keep it in perpetuity and we'll see how long this goes. But there's never an answer. Hey, like, give us a rough estimate of, just give us a ballpark. Like, when it gets to what? What date can we say, all right, you've had opportunities? It's never any of that. And Bill Maher talked about it yesterday. 90% of the coverage in the United States of America when it comes to this thing is bad. 90% of it is crap. Because if it bleeds, it leads more than anywhere else. You will find that here. Because drama, trauma, it all sells. And it's an easier emotion than people realize. It's absolutely a much easier emotion. On the other side of things, the positive news we rarely hear about. When we hear a positive story, where it's buried in the back somewhere. We need guidance and hey, it's a crap, get off the pot day. This is the date. Some of the states out there that are hesitant, I think that's a them thing.
CDC data, Census Bureau surveys say hesitancy to get the vaccine is highest in counties where COVID rates are higher. This is totally counterintuitive. You would think that, if people are seeing others getting sick, that they would be more likely to get the vaccine. But we're seeing states like Georgia, South Dakota, Tennessee, Arkansas, where people are reporting that they are a little hesitant to get the vaccine.
Yeah. Red states. Look at Trump. Not quite sure they buy all this. They thought it was a ploy and a plan to get rid of him. They don't think it's anything more than a bad flu. It's worse than the flu. It's easier to catch. But it's not as deadly as people make it out to be. People get confused easily. All right. So, and that's part of the affirmation information thing where we're not looking for actual answers. We're just looking to be affirmed in our belief. But I just want to get out of this damn thing. And, this mask is driving me crazy. It just is. I think most of you guys feel that way. It's still the number one thing. What would you like? The mask. Let's get rid of the mask. Get rid of the mask. Look, I'll do 75% at a restaurant, right? But just get rid of the damn mask. But what if other people have it? If I've got vaccinated or I'm willing to take that risk, shouldn't that be on me? I think so. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Home title lock. Saw another breach. So, Facebook had that breach. 500 million people. Their information was out there. Name, address, all of that stuff just floundering around out there. Just out there. Several phone companies, you name it, it's all been out there. What's that do? Well, for thieves, they look at this and they say, you know what? Stealing your identity? What's that do for me? Stealing your home's title? That could do a lot because your home has equity. And in that equity, I could take it. It's simple and easy to do. All they do is go online, find your home title, forge your signature, quit claiming deed to themselves, start borrowing money against your home's equity. And what's that do? It leaves you in debt. And in many cases, by the time you find out what's going on, you're talking about thousands upon thousands of dollars in legal fees and the chance for you to potentially lose your home. Home Title Lock is here to prevent you from having that happen. The minute anybody tampers with your home's title, shut it down. See the way I did that? Shut it down. Go to HometitleLock.com. Register your address right now. See if you've been a victim. Use code radio. You're going to get 30 days free protection. Code radio at HometitleLock.com. Code radio, HometitleLock.com. Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
And so here's a situation where if the medicine's available, we need to take it. And look, if the wealthy and the powerful in our society are all lining up to get shots, that means everybody should know it's a good thing to get.
Sure. They get a different shot than we are. You know that people think of that out there. Former President Barack Obama. Get the shot. He said, just get the shot. I don't care if you get the shot or not. I don't. I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm never going to push you to get some or not get some. I don't care. What I care about is the fact that if it's going to be based on the fact that some people aren't getting a shot, that the rest of us have to live in this bizarre kind of purgatory of mask, no mask, sometimes mask, can't go outside more than groups of a half dozen, just this weird, arbitrary, bizarre stuff. That, to me, is going to really piss, I think, not just me, but a lot of people off. So, at this point, I'm just thinking to myself, let's put the politics aside and say, even if you're a Democrat, right? We heard those statistics yesterday from Bill Maher talking about Democrats take this thing so bizarrely serious to the point where it's crippling some of them who are like, they're getting a shot, wearing a mask and staying indoors and never going out. That's how terrified they are. And a majority of them, 40%, believe that if you get this, your chances of dying are high and you're going to be hospitalized. when it's like 1 to 5%. And we're just talking about the things that we know. We're not throwing a lot of. So I look at this and I say to self, how do we speed this thing along? Well, Chad, you're just one of those people that don't care about people. Maybe. But what I am trying to tell you is I care enough about people that I like you to have your own choice. In saying that, your choice or your choice not to, if it's going to affect everybody, I think we should all have a choice to say, you know what, governor, mayor, enough's enough. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Parler, back up, kind of. Remember Parler? So it's been over 100 days since Trump tweeted. We talked a bit about it yesterday, how people feel like, you know, it just feels a little bit better. You know, not so. People are like, I don't have to defend him all the time. Other people like, my blood pressure's gone down because I'm not watching him and stuff. And that's the media stuff, right? A lot of that is absolutely the media stuff because people just watch it all the time. Parler then said, well, we're going to start our own because you don't like conservatives. And then because that's what they tell everybody. Well, if you don't like it, start yourself. So they went and started some, and then Apple and everybody took it down. Well, guess what?
The right-wing social app Parler was pulled from Apple's App Store over ties to the deadly January 6th U.S. Capitol siege. Now Apple, in a letter to 2 Republican congressional lawmakers, saying it's reached an agreement with Parler for its return and has been in substantial conversations with how the social app plans to moderate content on its network. Before its removal, Parler had let hate speech, calls for violence, and conspiracy theories go unmoderated. No word from Apple on how Parler plans to change that, and no comment from Parler.
Just out of curiosity, Phil, maybe you can answer this. I thought they weren't supposed to be moderators. Well, that's the whole point of social media.
That's what I thought, too.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure. So Twitter and them don't have to moderate. In theory, that's not what they're supposed to be doing, but you're forcing them to. There you go. Interesting world. 2 different sets of rules at times. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of sets of rules, it's always about her, Maxine Waters. What she said, you step back and you say, well, hold on a second. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! This is a very difficult time in the history of this country. We know that we're now coming to the end of the George Floyd trial, and we're really just almost at the beginning of what is happening with our young man, Daunte Wright. We have to persist in calling for justice. We have to let people know that we're not going to be satisfied unless we get justice in these cases. Say it right! Say it loud! Say it right! Say it proud! Say it right!
If I'm Tim Walz, the governor of the great state of Minnesota, after Maxine said,
what should protesters do?
Well, we got to stay on the street, and we've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
Just told them to ignore the curfews. If I'm Tim Walz, I'm like, you need to leave my state. We don't need more chaos, right? I'm trying to balance what took place with Daunte Wright on top of the fact that we've got the world watching us in this trial. And we had a summer of unrest where parts of our city were burnt to the point where some parts of our city were burnt to the ground. I don't need you coming here and lighting a fuse for everybody. Sorry. I don't. By the way, the judge said yesterday You know, you got a pretty good case because of what she said for a mistrial. Wait, what? Trump would have said it, people would have been freaking out. Well, Trump's not there. I understand that. But this shows you, right? Like, here's the craziness of this, right? I was just looking at the perfect example of the Chauvin trial based on the networks. Fox basically has ignored this. Basically. Now, they've seized on Maxine Waters and what she said. MSNBC and CNN, this is what's driving their programming right now. This is what's doing. It's driving their programming. Fox spent 4.2 minutes covering the trial. Are you ready to this? This is a perfect example of affirmation information. Compared to 51.7 minutes for CNN and 40.7 minutes from MSNBC. We're talking about an hourly snapshot. Because we're all about affirmation, not information. We're all about that. Just affirmation. Here's the affirmation. Here it is. Mitch McConnell.
It's harder to imagine anything more inappropriate than a member of Congress flying in from California to inform local leaders, not so subtly, that this defendant had better be found guilty or else there will be big trouble in the streets. Again, so much of our nation's quest for civil rights and equal justice has been the fight to get rid of extrajudicial violence, to get rid of rigged trials where the outcome was molded by public sentiment or angry mobs.
He's right. Mitch McConnell's right. Thanks, Chad. You're not often right. I'm kidding, Mitch. I'm kidding. But yeah, that's why if I'm Tim Walz, I'm like, you need to leave. This is not helping. Because you're going to eventually get back on an airplane and you're going to leave here. And I'm going to be stuck with everybody else cleaning up this potential mess here that we don't need. Because what's that do? When the cameras leave, when the people leave that are there to come protest and to raise hell, when all of that is said and done, somebody else has to pick up the mess. Somebody else has to. Don't need it. Don't want it. Not in my state. Sorry. If you're coming here to say, look, we can protest, but we can do it peacefully. If you're coming here to say, we can absolutely make our voices here heard, but let's not do anything that causes more pain. Let's not. She wasn't there for that because, like so many of these politicians, Matt Gaetz to Maxine Waters and everybody in between, it's not about the people or the issues. It's about them. It's a look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. It's crazy, right? And the potential of what may come from this? Not that Maxine Waters is the entire cause of it. Come on, that's stupid. But you don't need any more. It's like you brought gasoline to a fire. Hey, I brought some gasoline to a fire we're all trying to put out. Will this help?
It's beyond the pale for a sitting member of the United States Congress to look at what happened last summer and imply there should be some kind of a sequel, if a legal case does not unfold as she thinks it should.
Yeah. Because, and that's the scary thing. And that's why I look at, based on what she said and based on, the judge not sequestering them, the judge already said, like, you guys have a good, case for a potential, retrial on appeal. You've got, as a human being, you're sitting there inside the hotel, right? So you got that conference room that you go in, the big one that's always there for where they got those giant, huge barriers that become walls. They pull back and forth and you're going over all this stuff. But to think that you don't know what's going on outside, to think that you don't know that you've been coming there for 3 weeks and seeing the fact that you have to pass through barriers and guardsmen, that there's a potential of this thing going south and not think to yourself, something could go wrong. That's a scary thing. If we don't vote a certain way, and that did not help. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Do love hearing from every single one of you. This to me is very interesting. I had a deep discussion with a couple people last night about what's happening right now in the work world, which is there are a lot of people out there who are like, yeah, I'm not give a hard pass on working.
Having more customers come through the door would be great news for bars and restaurants if there weren't such a severe shortage of people to wait on them and cook their food. Zoe Olson is with the Nebraska Restaurant Association, but she says
it's a national problem,
one that could slow the recovery in the hospitality industry.
If we don't have sufficient wait staff or kitchen staff, we're going to do things like space more tables, reduce capacity.
Sound familiar?
Yeah, and that's all because there's just not enough people to work. It's a little Burger King. So normally on Wednesdays, I go hit golf balls. Well, I hit golf balls every day. But Wednesdays, I always joke it's Whopper Wednesday. On the way back, I pick up Whoppers for, a lot of people. Because we don't have a lot of people in the office right now still. A lot more for regular radio stations than they normally would. But for us, it's way down. So we got a close-knit staff. All of us have been working the last 15 months where everybody else has been working from home. And so we got our news team and stuff. So I stop and pick up a bunch of Whoppers for everybody. And it seems to take forever. And I was talking to a lady last week. She goes, I can't find anybody who wants to work. She goes, right now I have one cook and myself for everything. We've had to close the dining room. She goes, I'm working 18-hour shifts. Getting here early in the morning, starting prepping things. I got one cook right now. This is a Burger King. She goes, doesn't matter what we offer. And for restaurants, it's the same thing. I've been to one restaurant. The service was fairly good. But my co-host of my other show, him and his wife eat out all the time. And he's like, man, we'll go to a place and we'll sit there. And sometimes it's 20 minutes before somebody even comes and takes our order. He goes, we went to a restaurant a couple weeks ago where it was one server and the bartender and a cook. And I'm like, wow. Well, why would you want to? Why would you? At this point, if you're making more money there and you've taken, see, there's three ways this thing goes, right? Some people sitting around, they're like, oh, this is nice, getting some free money. Why would I want to go back and work? There's no reason for me to. I'm going to soak it up. When I go out and I go to the same place every day, and you kind of get familiar with, you see a lot of the same guys out there, a couple retirees I see, and we talk, but there's these two guys, they're I would say they're late 20s, mid to late 20s. They're just sitting around, and they're like, I make more money now doing this, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's, I mean, I understand, I guess. Some people, if you're just looking at it from a dollar sense, I'm like, don't you have any pride? I don't say that because I try to keep my mouth shut on things like that, but some people don't. They're fine with that. And then you've got the other side of it, where people have taken the opportunity to say, I want to change careers. I don't want to go back to what I was doing. I don't want to go back. I see what's going on. And I see that there's a way where even in downtimes that you could sustain a career. So a lot of people are making a switch and they're learning something. For that, I say kudos, right? Take this opportunity to go for it, to run with it. But there's just a lot of people out there who are looking around saying, I don't really need to. I don't. And yes, there is a handful of people out there for all those groups that are scared of going and working right now for whatever reason. They fear that the place may close down again, or they fear that they may get the virus and get sick and pass it on to somebody or die. That I understand. But I think for a lot of people, you're looking around and you're saying to yourself, this group over here is just, they're okay with not doing anything. This group over here is trying to better themselves, and this group over here is just scared. Totally understandable. Which group do you think's bigger? I'm going to go with the first group. I'm just saying. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. We got some funny stuff with Morrissey. You guys know who Morrissey is? Yeah, we're going to talk about him. He's very upset at a cartoon, and it's not a cartoon that you would normally think would piss people off. Plus, it's a good one. Was it a legend that killed these people, or was there something else? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. My Pillow's got my slippers. So my slippers are awesome. They're my slippers. They're not yours, but they're awesome. They come, like, I've got a pair right here because I show people around the office, you know. I'm like, they're so comfortable. So when I go to play golf, I'm going to slip them on, go over there, I'll put my shoes on, and then afterwards, it's just nice. I slip right in there. They got moccasin slip-on style. They come in 6 different colors, 60-day money-back guarantee, 1-year limited warranty, but it's the comfort. It's amazing. 3-tier cushion system. So you've got the patented MyPillow Fill, comfort memory foam, and the impact gel that's patented. And this is great, made from U.S. soybeans. And it's so incredible. Relieves pressure, absorbs the impact. Right now, save big. 40%. 40% off. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square. Use promo code Benson or call 800-983-4975. 800-983-4975. Use code Benson. Check out all the products they have. And make sure you use that code Benson. Save 40% on my slippers right now. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Irreverent? Yeah. So what? It's the Chad Benson Show.
He's morose. He's melancholy. Monday. He's just a cold, wet, rainy, broke, sad Monday. That's what he is. That's the best way to describe Morrissey. And the parody over the weekend of The Simpsons, like of all the people to be mad about, right? Like The Simpsons, harmless. Not like Rick and Morty, South Park, or Family Guy crushed you. Which is totally acceptable, by the way. You know what it reminds me of? Those floppy things that you, like, in front of car dealerships, because he's always just like... It's totally what he reminds me of. But he's upset because The Simpsons parodied him with a guy named Quilloughby, who you could totally tell it's Morrissey. And they're just all... He's butthurt. Like, he is... Instead of laughing, oh, I get it. But no, it's like, oh, here's my team to yell at you.
Sunday night, The Simpsons introduced the character Willoughby.
'Cause everyone is horrid except me.
Voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch, Willoughby was pretty clearly a spoof of the former Smith singer Morrissey, the show referencing Morrissey's strict veganism, his worldview.
This place reminds me of my own hometown. It's dismal and nothing good will ever come from it.
And also controversies, including comments seen as anti-immigrant Morrissey has made in the past. But Morrissey and his people weren't laughing. In a post on the singer's official Facebook page, Morrissey's manager Peter Katzis writes, The Simpsons used harshly hateful tactics in a portrayal that was hurtful and unfunny.
Why was it hurtful? The fact that they're even talking about you should be great. Most people have no idea who you are anymore. You were so melancholy, you ruined a band called The Smiths that produced arguably one of the greatest songs of all time. And then you continued that by wandering around in sepia. I think he just walks around in sepia. It's like in jeans with your creepers on and your black coat. Just, I'm super sad because today's the day. Oh, yeah. Let's have some more fun with him.
Quilloughby, is there anyone you do like?
Yeah, well, let me tell you something, Lisa. Every day I try to smile, but can't help but frown. Every day I draw my bath and pray I will drown. I step out my door and I take a deep breath, turn back inside and pray for my death. 'Cause everyone is horrid except me and possibly you.
Possibly me.
Oh, everyone is horrid and my dear, I fear you are too. Oh.
That's basically it. Translation, I am better than everybody. Was he supposed to be on? I remember it was 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe it was a little bit longer. It was when Jay Leno hosted. Or was it with Jimmy Kimmel? When they were going to have one of those two. They were going to have Phil Robertson on from, the Duck Dynasty. And Morrissey refused to come because he's a meat eater or whatever. I'm just like, oh, God. How do you survive? Oh, I just don't know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. I wanted to get into the Hulu thing and this new Sasquatch movie. It's very interesting what this film's all about. And we'll touch on it throughout the show and stuff, but it's just, imagine this. Lots of weed areas, some forest, some dead bodies. Maybe Sasquatch did it. Wait, you got Sasquatch to protect your weed? Maybe. That's apropos because today is 420, man. 420, man. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Oh, brother, that's awesome. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
That force for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, that killed George Floyd. No question. This was not an accident. He did not trip and fall and find himself upon George Floyd's knee and neck. He did what he did on purpose, and it killed George Floyd. He betrayed the badge and everything it stood for. It's not how they're trained. It's not following the rules. This is not an anti-police prosecution. It's a pro-police prosecution.
Stephen Schleicher there. He is the prosecutor of Derek Chauvin and Hennepin County, who is the man overseeing the prosecution side of the Derek Chauvin case. It's pro-police, it's not anti-police. Because you get bad apples off the street like him, makes it easier for other cops. That's understandable. It's the way he spun it. Now with the jury. And it'll be interesting to see how this thing plays itself out with the jury. First and foremost, what do we even know about said jury?
This jury is a diverse jury. We're talking about 7 women, 5 men. We're also talking about a racial diversity. And I think that's going to be important because we do know that there is a difference in the experience of policing when it comes to different racial groups.
Absolutely. By the way, an experience, because you experience something one way, right? Or you have a different take based on the color of your skin, which is understandable. Everybody's experience in life, by the way, is completely different. Every human. Totally. Even if there are other dimensions, the other Chad is experiencing something different and vice versa. So just because your experience is different doesn't mean what he did was wrong. And because your experience was different, say if you're a white person with police, doesn't mean what he did was right. It's about what's in front of you and the evidence that's there. That's what it is. Now, what kind of verdicts? And I say verdicts because there are 3 things he's on trial for, Chauvin, as far as what he could potentially have. First, you got second-degree murder, carries up to 40 years. Third-degree murder, which probably 20. And then you've got manslaughter. He could be convicted of 1, 2, 3, or none. All of those are a possibility.
Second-degree manslaughter only requires culpable negligence. So that is the least culpable charge. And I think it's going to give them the opportunity to reach a compromise verdict, because there may be some jurors that feel like second-degree murder, third-degree murder, those are sort of depraved mind charges. They may not be able to get there because of the fact that there's a police officer, former police officer, being charged.
Sonny Host in there. They may not be able to get there. We will see. What we do know is that with all of that going on around there, they were only sequestered yesterday. When you had issues on the outside of the little bubble they've been in, even though they've been in there every day, they still go home at night. And what are those issues? Well, you've had the Dante Wright shooting. Then you've had the issues outside of that, which is the fighting, the rioting, the protest. That will absolutely play into this in a lot of ways, and I think weigh on people's mind. How long it takes them, that'll be interesting to come back with, because I talked to several lawyers just trying to get their sense of how long they think it'll take. Most of them say by Wednesday, Thursday, we should have some sort of decision. And then it's up to the judge, right? So if they get it late, if they got it late tomorrow night, probably wouldn't read it till Wednesday morning. If you got it late Wednesday, not till Thursday. Then the question comes in, what if they come back Friday later? What do? Do you hold off on that through the weekend? Do you not do that? Because the thought process is, just in case things get out of hand, just in case, you don't want to be, it's going to be very interesting to see the way that he is going to play this. This judge he's had more than a few critics out there, but the whole world's a critic at this point in time. So we'll see how this thing plays itself out. It's going to be very interesting, and not just on what takes place with Derek Chauvin, what he faces. And by the way, if he was convicted of all three, the time will be served congruently, so it's all going to be served at the same time. You can't stack on stack on stack. Most people, legal experts, think he'd probably get 12 and a half to 20 years. 40 years is probably way too much for a person who doesn't have a criminal record. And then it'll go down from there, from third degree and then manslaughter. But that's going to be up to the judge, and the prosecution wants as much as they can get. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. It's still here. It's called coronavirus. It hasn't gone anywhere. People still trying to figure out how to maneuver through this thing. What's your state doing? What's your state not doing? What's your state ignored or overcooked? What's going on with the quote-unquote, the vaccines? A lot of people think, hey, you know what? I'm happy that they stopped to take a look at J&J. It's giving people a sense of they care. This just isn't about pushing things through. They're looking and making sure that, hey, is this something everybody should worry about?
Now, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is still not in use as the CDC looks into an unrelated incident. Those rare blood clots found in 6 people after they were recently fully vaccinated. The CDC says they are investigating those cases, but also taking a look at several new ones to determine whether the clotting is actually related.
Yeah, take a look. That's what you're supposed to do. You take a look. There's going to be issues. We get that. It's going to be all kinds of problems when you give 7, 10, 20, 30, 50, 200 million shots to people. You're going to run into some coincidences. Maybe some people's DNA makeup, their genetics, the whole 9 yards, they're allergic to certain things. There's going to be some of those things. You're going to get it as right as you possibly can. But you're not going to get it perfect. And I know that sounds harsh, but that's just the reality of this. You're going to try to get it as right as you possibly can. But people die from aspirin, peanut allergies. Yes, last week I read an article about a model So a woman who is a model, by model we mean actual model, she got a settlement for $30 million. Check this out, right? And this is what I'm talking about, where things can go wrong, even if you may know some stuff. Her name is Chantel Giacalone. She had an anaphylactic shock from bite-sized peanut butter-infused pretzels that her friend bought her at a frozen yogurt shop, right? So it was at the Mandalay Bay South Convention Center. So they had this. She was there modeling clothes for a fashion show. She's now brain damaged. She's in a bed. She's never, none of this stuff. Her life is, this is it. Like, this is, her life is going to be in a bed, 24/7 care, G-tube like my brother has, the trach, all of this stuff. She can only communicate with her eyes. She had $30 million for that. And they said it was negligence. They didn't treat her correctly. But there's going to be issues like this every single day. When you give this many people something, you can expect some stuff, right? You can expect this. There's going to be some issues. Now, AstraZeneca is a whole nother, because it's not 7 out of 7 million. It seems to be like 3 out of 5. You know, they're like, well, hold on here. I'm kidding. It's probably a little bit more than that. But these are the things you have to look at. And then you have to weigh. Is this, even if it caused with premenopausal women, so women from like 20 to 45-ish, 40-ish, it has a small chance. Is it better for the good of the people? Because if we're going to go with the fact that, hey, guess what? We're going to take this off the market. Because the way that I hear like Fauci and everybody talk about this, it feels like you guys are not, you're not thinking about putting this thing back, are you? At least not in any kind of way that makes you, if we're going to be that cautious, that's to me, you're like, wow, what would get done? I mean, all you have to do is watch a pharmaceutical commercial and hear all of the things that potentially could happen to you. And it's always explosive diarrhea, which I have to think, if you were going to go, that may be one of the worst ways to go, right? Explosive diarrhea. What happened? Phil died. How? Explosive diarrhea. Literally, it was explosive. It just exploded everywhere. He left a mess and then another mess. It's awful. What'd you do with the house? We just burned it down. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program, Masterclass. I try to do a couple Masterclass classes a day. I try. Some days I get far more. In the weekends, I can go down a rabbit hole really fast. Really fast. So right now, there's some great stuff. David Axelrod and Carl Rove, they teach a class, a master class. And it's so amazing to watch the things that they do. So here you've got two guys who are polar opposites talking about campaigns and politics and how you take your opponents on and the whole 9 yards and understanding all of these things. It is fascinating. But you name it, from gardening to chess to R.L. Stein talking about the making of a monster for his Goosebumps. It's incredible. About 20 lessons per course, about 10 minutes per lesson. You get workbooks, and if you're looking to cook, they've got, recipes, all of these things. And it's about 41 cents a day. I'm going to say that again. Less than 2 quarters. Less than a quarter a dime and another dime. To learn from the best in the world at everything they do. And you're going to save an extra 15%. You go to masterclass.com/Benson. Sign up, get the annual membership. Like I said, 41 cents a day. Masterclass.com/Benson. Save an extra 15%. Do it now. Masterclass.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
If you like talk radio like Chad Benson likes his meals, you've come to the perfect place for takeout.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending.
What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending?
Well, let's find out what's trending. Let's start right here in the magical world of Twitter. Let's start with Maxine Waters. Judge Cahill denies Derek Chauvin's defense motion for a mistrial. But Maxine Waters, over the her statement over the weekend in Minnesota, has caused some issues, saying essentially, look, there's going to be confrontation if Chauvin is not found guilty. But he did go on to say it's a great opportunity for a retry on appeal based on some of this stuff. How could you not think that way? Willie Nelson wants Biden to declare today, 4/20, want to get high, a national marijuana holiday. For a lot of people, I think they'd be fine with that. I think they would be absolutely fine with that. Bill Maher is under fire for essentially coming, down on the side of Sharon Osbourne somewhat. Essentially saying, so you have to agree with everything Meghan Markle says or you're a racist. Yeah, that's it. Like the Justin Fields, the quarterback for Ohio State, like some people have come out and talked, said, well, I don't know about this. And it's like, well, that's, you can't criticize him before the draft because that makes you a racist. It's like, okay, I don't, like if he's not picked first and Trevor Lawrence is it because of race? That's, at some point, you've got to be able to have opinions without being yelled at, right? I would like to think. You don't know. You don't know. Head over to Google. Scottie Pippen, most searches yesterday. His eldest son, Antron, died at 33. It's young, man. I'm telling you. It's, Scotty's had a crazy, weird life. That's for sure. Shang-Chi. Marvel dropped the action-packed trailer for the new Shang-Chi movie, which is the first, really what it is. They should just say it. Here, China, here is your Marvel character because we need your money and box office. It's the best way to say it. That's not very nice. I'm sure it'll be awesome. It's the Legend of the Ten Rings. Ooh, but it's amazing though. Like the craziness of which people will go when it comes to China. Earth Day approaching. And then this. Another incident at a skydiving place. We're going to talk about this because at some point you would think people would use the internet. All I'm saying. At Google, trending, people are like, who is on the Google thing? That right there, kids, is little Luther Vandross. You don't know who Luther is? Luther Vandross is amazing. It's incredible. Gone too soon. Luther's voice, smooth as can be. They're celebrating him on Google. And that's the funny thing, because it's like one of the Google things, the searches is like, who is this? Oh, Luther. I don't know who Luther. Then you go and you look and you find, oh, Luther's voice. I remember him in an interview. I think he was backup singer to both Diana Ross and Aretha Franklin, and they were like, you need to be out here in front. And he's like, I don't think so, because he was very shy. Very shy, but what a voice, man. Powerful. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Now you know what's trending. We'll talk about the skydiving place and how people apparently don't use the internet. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It's reflected in discrimination in housing, in employment, in the justice system. All of these things are still in America. We do not yet have equal justice under law.
Chauvin trial. People are looking at this as, is this a chance for equal justice under the law? Is Derek Chauvin going to get what many people think is due because of the crime he committed? For others out there, they're uncertain. They think, well, this guy had drugs, and this guy did a lot of different things, and this guy, just George Floyd guy, he had done some really bad stuff in the past. None of that stuff mattered on that day at that instant. Not one of those things mattered. What mattered was what took place on that day. And now what matters is, how does the jury approach this? Is there outside influence right now when it comes to what's happening because of Daunte Wright, because of the insanity that took place last year, because of the George Floyd killing and death? Is this one of those things where people are like, yeah, man, you know what? Got to be honest. I got to convict this guy. I have to. I have no choice. Because otherwise my town's going to burn. Look what's going on because of Daunte Wright. So there's a lot of questions that people are asking themselves that may have nothing to do with the evidence or trial itself. And then, if you're the judge, based on the stuff that's been said outside of there, Maxine Waters, we're all looking at you. Is there a potential for a retrial? It's possible. On the other side of that, if you're a judge and he is convicted, do you feel pressure to throw everything you can at him, or else? There's a lot of stuff in here. A lot of or else kind of feel. So we'll see. We'll see what takes place. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I'm going to say this. I want you guys to listen to me. Okay? Right? Everybody listening up. I think it's fair. I'm a person who likes to give honest opinions based on facts. Honest opinions based on things that are quantifiable data as much as we can get. Honest takes, if you will. Apparently people don't use the internet. Huh?
The FAA investigating a skydiving school near Sacramento after another fatal fall, the 22nd death at the center since it opened in the 1980s.
Her passion for other people was such a good example for all of us.
The Lodi Parachute Center says Sabrina Call had jumped thousands of times before, but did not pack her own parachute before her fatal dive Saturday. A witness says Call's parachute failed to completely open, then got tangled up with her reserve chute.
Parachuter down at the Lodi Parachute Center.
It's the 9th fatality at the center since 2016.
Yeah. So in 40 years, so basically every other year, somebody jumps and they land and then they bounce. Chad. She had made more than 2,000 skydives, but she'd been out of the sport for a few years. She got back into it. She was 57. For me, as I give you guys my opinion, if you're deciding I want to do this, I want to jump out of an airplane, zero problem. I mean, I think it's weird, but whatever. Zero problems. Zero. Again, go ahead and do your thing. I'm just looking for the place that has the least amount of deaths. Who's with me? Like, raise your hand if you're thinking to yourself, you know what, he may be onto something. Like, if you're getting on here, you're like, we haven't had an accident in days. You may be thinking, no. And I'm going to put it this way, right? I want to put it to you this way. Since 2016 till now, producer Phil, do the math. How many years is that?
I was never good at math at all.
So it's 2021, 2016. I'm going to say like 5 years. Right? If I told you, dude, there's only been like 9 deaths on the Pirates of the Caribbean in the last 5 years, you'd be like, I don't think we're going on this. Oh, boy. Yeah, not happening. You will Yelp the dry cleaner. You will Yelp the little restaurant, the Peruvian restaurant that just opened. You won't go, I'm thinking I need to look into this. Well, I could get diarrhea. I don't want them to ruin my clothes or lose it. She had 2 parachutes. First one didn't fire. The second one got tangled with each other. They weren't fully inflated and pointed towards the ground at a very rapid speed. One person said, are you ready for this? This is... You just have to go on. We're sad, but it's just like a car wreck or anything else. Okay. I'm not, you know what? Like I said, I don't know what you would be thinking. I just like, hey, I know you guys have had a lot of deaths. Like, everybody who's flown has gone, I wonder what their safety record's like. Right? Everybody who's flown. They all know, Qantas has never had this, or, or so-and-so's never had an accident that caused the deaths of people. Everybody knows. Like, you kind of know. You're like, you know what? You're going to fly Aeroflot. You're like, I don't know. I don't think so. I've been to Russia. I'm going to pass on that one. There's some things you're just like, Apparently not with this. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Sports viewing is down tremendously. A lot of different reasons. First of all, the young don't consume sports like they used to. They just don't. And the ones who did, the older generation, in particular, an older generation that is, dare I say it, white, they really don't want politics in their sports. And I understand you have a platform, and I got zero problems with what you do with your platform. As long as your employer and the leagues you work for are totally fine with it. That's. But then you have to understand, you can't get mad at people like, I don't want to watch this. And we've gotten to the point now where the leagues themselves have gotten involved. Case in point, Georgia has pulled out their new voting legislation, pulled all the stops. We're doing this, and here we go. We're going big. And people are saying, well, we're not going to work there. We're just not going to do anything. We're pulling everything out. Major League Baseball said, fine, we're going to pull stuff out. This is David Wells. They call him Boomer. Guy pitched a perfect game wearing Babe Ruth's hat. That's how cool. He's an interesting cat. A little outspoken. Talked about sports, in particular, the politics of it all.
First and foremost, you got to take the politics out of the game. To see this happening, baseball was my life. I love it. I love watching it. But with all the rules that have been going on since Manfred has taken over, has really gotten me out of the game. From the analytics part of it, from shortening innings for speeding the game up, and then moving this All-Star game to Colorado just really put the icing on the cake for me.
And I think for a lot of people, they're frustrated. It's like movies. We talk about this all the time. Most people don't want to be preached at. They don't. They want to go see a movie. They want entertainment. They want 2 or 3 hours of sitting down, watching the trailers, eating their popcorn. They don't want to be preached at. Some people may want that. But a lot of times, people just want to go enjoy themselves. The majority of people. There's some people who want, the artsy-fartsy movie and stuff like that. I get that. But the majority of people are going to see the Marvels and the big Disney productions and King Kong versus Godzilla and all those things. They're there for the entertainment value. Baseball, football, basketball, all of these things, they're part of the entertainment side of stuff. And these guys have platforms. And I get that they have platforms. And they can use them how they want. People said, "Do you ever have a problem with Colin Kaepernick?" I'm like, did the league have a problem with him? Yeah, well, then that's on. I didn't. The beauty of our country is I think you have the freedoms to make a stand or to take a knee, but you also have to deal with the consequences. And that's the other side of things. So much now is we don't like what you did, so we're going to do this. And then you're like, fine, well, then I'm not going to participate anymore. And they're like, well, hold on a second. We don't, no, you've got to take the consequences. I thought what they did to Colin Kaepernick was, but I also thought Colin played the game the way he wanted to as far as being the victim. And I think he enjoyed the martyrdom a lot more than he probably enjoyed running around, getting hit, playing second string quarterback and not being a star. But Boomer's right. David Wells. Fans are stepping away. Look at how much these games, not just baseball, but everywhere else, are dropping off. And politics is playing a huge reason for that.
People love the game of baseball. I loved it growing up since I was 6 years old playing. You're going to lose a lot of fans because when you start playing the politics role, they don't want to see that. They just want to take their kids and enjoy a game with big tech coming in and bullying people and saying, we're not going to sponsor you. So you got to fit our narrative. You got to do what we say. Forget it. Take that all out. Just go back to the way the game was played from the beginning. See, I don't like the way it's going, obviously. Let baseball be baseball. Let politics be politics. And everybody go their own way and have some fun.
Can't do that anymore. And the great thing is sports used to be the things that united us. And now it's gotten to the point where people who don't really like the games, don't pay attention to the games, are having an influence on certain things within the game. We always say that about the woke world, right? Like people who aren't your constituents, people who aren't your consumer for your product are getting you to change things because they think they can, and you give in, then guess what? They do. And sports is trying to figure out how do they walk that fine line of keeping the players happy. You want to have a voice, and at the same time, knowing that it's a business. And you can't be mad if the consumer says, I don't want to do this anymore. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every one of you. Rough Greens. Arr, arr. It's great for my dog, but great for your dog. Why? Because my dog is amazing. And I wouldn't have said that a year and a half ago. I would have said he's awful and we're thinking about putting him down. Here we are, year and a half later. We started giving him K9 Vitasmart. Right? Just powder, supplement from Rough Greens. Put it on his food. It's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this great stuff. Within about 10 days to 2 weeks, totally changed. And now, a year and a half in, he is bouncy, he is bubbly, he is like a puppy. Chasing rabbits, by the way, which he couldn't catch a turtle a year and a half ago, let alone a rabbit. Still can't catch the rabbit, but he could catch a turtle. That's what K9 Vitasmart's done. It'll do it for your dogs as well. Helped his hips, helped his joints, better digestive system. It's amazing. Try it before you buy it. They're going to send you a bag for free. All you have to do is pay for shipping. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad, ruffgreens.com/Chad, or call 833-MyDog77, 833-MyDog77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid?
What? Are you kidding me? Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
I can't fool myself, I don't want nobody else to ever love me. You are my shining star, my guiding light, my love fantasy.
What a voice. Luther Vandross. He's who you see on Google, by the way. People are asking, who's that person on Google? Luther Vandross he was born this day, but passed away way too soon. He was only 54 years old. And his voice was amazing. Had some issues, though. Really struggled with his weight. Like, big time. I mean, there was times when he would drop so much weight in weeks. And eventually he had hypertension, diabetes, caused him to have a stroke. He was in a stroke for 2 months and just really struggled off and on. But what a voice. The guy's voice is just ridiculous. Some people out there just have that voice. He's like, that's just, like Freddie Mercury. You're like a Bocelli, Pavarotti. You look around there and you're like, oh, well, that's just Dylan. You're like, that's a voice. It is. It cuts through. Oh, Chad. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Had a couple people tweet and text in about sports and the profile of athletes who are using the stage. And because how could you like Kaepernick? I'm like, I didn't say I liked him, right? I'm not a 49er fan. I wasn't a fan of Kaepernick, right? Because I'm not a 49er fan. I was a Ram fan. Rivals. But I respect I respected the fact that he wanted to do what he did. I started losing respect for him when he was all over the place. And his message came, like everything else, more about him than everything else. The beauty of our country is we have freedoms in this country. And that speech should be protected is the speech you don't like. We've stopped that now. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Now, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is still not in use as the CDC looks into an unrelated incident. Those rare blood clots found in 6 people after they were recently fully vaccinated. The CDC says they are investigating those cases, but also taking a look at several new ones to determine whether the clotting is actually related to the vaccine.
Now, the EU, that's the European Union, for those of you who don't know what that is, found in very rare cases of unusual blood clots with low blood platelets as a side effect to the vaccine. And that's what everybody's reporting. But they also went and said the benefits of the J&J vaccine outweigh the risk, despite the possible leak of rare blood clots. So, there you go. What was that supposed to? Look, life is risk. I think we all know we take risks. We do. And you can expect if you're going to give lots of people shots, they don't even know what's in it. Okay. I'm assuming they kind of know what's in it. Like, I'm assuming that they weren't just sitting around in a mad scientist laboratory with a beaker in front of them and a big cauldron with the smoke coming out of it and like a rat's tail. I think they know what's in it. I have a feeling they do. And in rare instances, they're saying something could happen. In saying that, the benefits far outweigh the potential. Because Moderna, Pfizer also have some issues that people have looked into. And at some point, you got to go, okay, what are the benefits that great? If 1 out of 10, maybe even 1 out of 1,000 had serious issues, you'd step back and say, all right, well, we got to look at this in a serious way. But we're talking about 0.00. So you got the point, right? So there's a point. So the one would be 1%. We don't have that. We have a 0. Then we have a point. Then we have a 0.00048, and then a bunch of other little numbers, like they go for on and on. Percent. Chance. Based on all of this. But in a day and age where politics is everywhere, people have a chance to come out and go, this is why you don't get these things, man. This is why you don't get these things. You know, I'm going to throw some at it. Think about this for just a second. If today's politics were around in the time of polio, what do you think we'd see? Just curious. I'm not getting that polio vaccine. Nobody should get that thing. Okay. I don't even know what to say anymore at this point.
The temporary hold on Johnson & Johnson shots doesn't seem to be affecting how people feel about vaccines in general. According to the Axios Ipsos Coronavirus Index, 20% of Americans have no intention of getting any vaccine. But that number hasn't changed since January. Over 90% of those polled were aware of the government's pause of the J&J shots, and nearly that many say they think it was the right decision. The poll indicates 56% of all Americans have now received at least one dose of one of the vaccines.
There you go. One dose of one of the vaccine, 56% of Americans. Giving out almost 200 million. That's what we're approaching.
We are already 90 days into our administration. And folks, we have seen American aspiration at work. We set a goal to get 100 million shots in arms in 100 days. And through the innovation of scientists, the hard work of manufacturers, and the determination of the American people, we will soon pass 200 million.
There you go. There you go. Getting close to 200 million. There you go. We're on our way. Great. Doing a better job, but we still have issues, and those issues are politics, the fighting, states that have overregulated, states that are continuing to grab for more and more power, and the frustration level is through the roof for so many people out there who just say, look, we get it. I understand. Like, I think if you're honest with people, we were joking yesterday because of, the way that Bill Maher went after the Democrats, oddly enough, when it came to how bad they think this thing really is.
The answer is between 1% and 5%. 41% of Democrats thought it was over 50%. Another 28% put the chances at 20 to 49. So almost 70% of Democrats are wildly off on this key question and have a greatly exaggerated view of the danger of COVID and the mortality rate among children. All of which explains why today the states with the highest share of schools that are still closed are all blue states.
He was talking about the chances of being hospitalized. So think about this. How far people off on this. Because we are not an information society anymore. You know what? You don't even have to be disinformation. Just tell people what they want to hear. give them a portion of something. And at times you can give them the entire thing and they're still going to come at it in a way where they're going to only see the things that they want to see and take away from it that which affirms their belief. And that's not good. Be honest, straightforward with us. I think you should let people start saying to themselves, all right, I know what the risk is now. I understand what it is. I think we know now how to protect ourselves from this thing as best as possible. Nothing is 100%. Even if you get the vaccine, it's not 100%. In saying that, it's time to get on with getting on. It is. A lot of people are vaccinated, especially the most vulnerable in a lot of places. That 20% who say they're never going to get it, that's a you thing. So get it, don't get it. Choice. It's the beauty of our country. But it's ridiculous to sit here and think, we could live like this for how long? How much longer do you want to wear this damn mask? How much longer do you want to continually be waiting? Like, look at Oregon. Oregon's a perfect example of insanity. The mask mandate was going to sunset, so they had to make it permanent, right? Because there's only so many ways there's only so many times you can sunset certain things, and then you have to make it permanent. So they decided to make the mask mandate permanent. And when you can't give us answers like, hey, you know what? By this, we're going to be back to normal. Chad, things could change. I realize that. But we can't live in a world of the next thing around the corner, because if the next thing around the corner is bad, then it's bad. Whether we're living our lives the way we used to or now, it's still going to be around the corner. Or if, like so many of these things, I'm 50 years old, it's the first one I've had in my life, a pandemic. How about you guys? Any of you out there? Maybe I got a few listeners who've been around for the Spanish flu. Probably not. It's not my demo. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. The jury has the case. Maxine Waters weighed in on what took place and has been taking place since the Dante Wright shooting, also in Minneapolis, not too far away from where George Floyd was killed. We're going to touch on that. What's the jury doing? What are people thinking about? What's the mood of the city? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Plus, today's 420. We'll talk about 420. Is that the weed thing? It is the weed thing. Oh, you're going to talk about drugs? I don't do drugs, but we're going to talk about it because it's find the story, the entire story of 420 interesting. Plus, Hulu's got a new show out about Sasquatch, but it may not be what you think it is, and it may have to do with weed itself. What? Kids, we're varied in a lot of the things we do. My Pillow has My Slippers. My Slippers, 3 patented parts of the slipper, right? So it's moccasin style if you want, slip-on style. There's 3 different tiers of it. So you got the patented fill, the My Pillow fill. Awesome. Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool. What else you got there? Okay, so you got that. Then you've got the memory foam. Ooh. And then you've got the patented impact gel made from U.S. soybeans. And it's great because it absorbs impact and relieves pressure, which is something I like, especially for my feet. You can wear them indoors, outdoors, all day long. 6-day money-back guarantee. Plenty of different styles to choose from and colors. And 1-year limited warranty. Right now, 40% off. That's what you get. Go to mypillow.com. Get your My Slippers, 40% off. Use the promo code Benson. Check out all the other goodies that are there. And that mattress topper, I'm telling you, kids, cannot go wrong with that. Deep discounts on all of those. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Call 800-983-4975. 800-983-4975 to save huge on your My Pillow, My Slippers. Chad Benson Show.
I usually don't get into politics. As as an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call.
You are a blabbermouth!
Come on, man.
Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
Just a loudmouth.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! This is a very difficult time in the history of this country. We know that we're now coming to the end of the George Floyd trial, and we're really just almost at the beginning of what is happening with our young man, Dante Wright. We have to persist in calling for justice. We have to let people know that we're not going to be satisfied unless we get justice in these cases. Stay right! Stay loud! Stay right! Stay proud! Stay right!
Maxine Waters. So unless you get justice, you want people to continue to do what? Just trying to figure out what's going on. First of all, why are you in Minnesota? You're from California. You're supposed to be in D.C. because you're there to, well, you're there for you, first of all. Let's be straightforward and honest. Any politician that's somewhere, they're there for themselves. Except for the politicians that you have no idea they're politicians. You have no idea they're congressmen or women because they don't travel with an entourage, right? They're by themselves and they're doing something and you couldn't pick them out of a lineup. Then it's different. You're like, oh, you're one of the ones who goes to work thinking you're going to change something, and then Maxine Waters and Mitch McConnell stomp on your dreams.
What should protesters do?
Well, we got to stay on the street, and we've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
Okay, so you're going to get more confrontational. Or else. People are asking serious questions about what she said. Is this going to be an issue? Because the judge, people have talked about essentially saying, hey, you know what? It feels like if there's not a conviction, this town's going to burn.
Judge Cahill did make a good point here. He didn't say it was a mistrial, and the last thing he wants to do after all of this time and effort is to have a mistrial. But it could be a ground for appeal later on if, in fact, a juror was influenced by that.
And as we all know in this day and age, human beings inherently can't keep their mouth shut. So if 2, 3, 4 weeks from now, when whatever happens, and somebody comes out and said, you know, because you let the dust settle, right? Things calm down a little bit, and then people will come out and they'll say, you know, I couldn't, you know, just I was looking to see what's going on out there with the Dante Wright killing and all of this stuff, and I just felt like there had to be a conviction, even if it was one of those things where I thought it was manslaughter, but everybody else, and we all kind of were worried about what's going to go on, and so that's why we gave him second degree. That right there would be enough to go, all right, well, you got to throw this conviction out, and there needs to be another trial, mistrial. It's a possibility. It is. And she did not help any of this by going there. And that's why I would have said, if I'm Governor Walz, I'm saying to myself, you need to leave. Okay? If you want to come here and offer construction criticism towards the police and towards the system, that's one thing. If you want to come here and say, hey, let's protest, but be peaceful. Let's march, but be mindful. Let's let our voices be heard, but do it in a way where they hear our voices and the actions that we've seen in the past don't take place. But she's not going to do that. And she didn't. Because, again, it's not about her. She's going to get on a plane and leave. And if stuff does go south, she ain't going to be in the middle of it. Right? She got other things. Who's going to be left to pick it up? who's going to be left to pick it up? The people who've tried to build inside the communities, the people who've been, running things and building businesses, the people that are there afterwards, black and white, they're going to be there. They're going to be there, picking it up. And having been through the Los Angeles riots and seen the damage, LA's a pretty big city. I'll let you guys know this. There are places in and around Los Angeles that still have never been rebuilt. That's something to think about. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Let's talk a little 420. How do we even get to 420? Like, how does that... Well, it was 419 and it became 4... But how do we get to that? Why that? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
They do not seem to recognize that it's in fact weakness, it's provocative.
Liz Cheney talking about, I don't know, we can decide what she's talking about. She's talking about Biden, but talking about anything, right? Hey, Liz, kind of hot.
They do not seem to recognize that it's in fact weakness, it's provocative.
Say anything. Chad's not very nice. That our adversaries are looking at us with weakness and provocative. There is a certain sense right now that, more than a certain sense, that there's blinders on when it comes to Biden. Putin is going to exercise his powers throughout part of Eastern Europe and throughout the Middle East. And, what do you have right now? You have, like, if this was a superhero movie, what is everybody going to have? What if only a certain group could have powers? It's like this. We should have the socialist heroes. We'll do a parody of that. I want to fly. Oh, my God. Okay. I just want a really fun run. You can't have all of them. Never mind. So you look at this. So Putin, pushing a little bit in the Ukraine, pushing parts of Europe. He's got his friends that he hangs out with. And look, let's take a look at his friends. Xi, Maduro, who's ever running Cuba this week. Now that the last of the Castro is like, I'm out of here. It's like, I'm retiring, and I left you with a whole bunch of stuff. You left me with cars from the 50s that you can't even get parts for. Solid move. Hanging out with Kim. Not a lot he's hanging out with. But he's pushing. Kim's going to push. Xi is pushing. They're all going to push because that's what you do. You test the new guy. You test the new gal. You push and see what they're willing to do. Right now, though, he's got the blinders on. And the blinders are saying one thing. Focus strictly on what is going on right now with COVID and some of the other issues we have at home. Not the border, but here. It's understandable. It is. But you can't take your eye off the prize, which is you want to restore America back to where you think America should be. I never thought we left there. I thought maybe we had changed, and we were looking at people saying, you know what, you didn't like the way that he acted at times, Trump, and that's understandable. At the same time, we were getting taken advantage of by a lot of countries. But his focus is strictly on this. And that is getting America back to what I don't even know what normal looks like for a lot of people now because of coronavirus. So many people out there are still going to wear a mask, depending on what poll you're looking at, for months and who knows for how long. Some people I talked to yesterday that work inside this building are like, I'm going to keep it on for as long as I can. I'm like, you can keep it on forever. I mean, that's the beauty of choice. But I don't want you to tell me I have to keep it on forever. Like at some point, I didn't work this hard to grow this beard, to hide my face under the beard that's hiding my face or over the beard. I'm just saying. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You guys know what today it is?
Roll another blunt.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Is this little Afro man? It's probably going over well in the Midwest. Sing it, my man.
I was gonna clean my room until I got high.
Yeah, it is 420.
I was gonna get up and find the broom.
What does 420 even mean? It really depends on who you talk to.
And I know why. Why, man? Yeah,
because I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high. Ba-da-da-ba-ba-ba. So how do we even get to the point where politicians, by the way, are talking about marijuana?
I believe the time has come to end the federal prohibition on marijuana in this country.
I agree. Absolutely agree. Let's remember why we got to the point where they're, with Hearst and hemp and business. It's the beauty of power in business, right? What does it court? It courts politics, the thing it doesn't have. What does politics court? Money. Both of them have power, but in different ways. I'll give you some of my money, which helps build my power. I'm going to buy some of your power, and in doing so, you can help me out by making things like hemp illegal and making it a Schedule I drug. It's like PCP and meth and heroin. No, not really. People are pushing for it to be a national holiday, right? Like
today is what you might call a very unofficial American holiday, 420.
Because you got high.
In state after state, through ballot initiatives and constitutional amendments, the American people are sending a clear message that they want this policy changed.
Because I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high. How do we even get here? The 420. Well, apparently, if you believe what the folklore was of the weed. Now, I'm going to tell you guys this. If you're new to the show, I don't smoke, don't drink, I don't do a drug. What do you do? Said Adam Ant. I am a teetotaler. I've never had a drink in my life. I've never done a smoke in my life. I've never done any drugs in my life. I am none of those things. But I'm also not an idiot, and I realize the war on drugs is stupid and that some of this stuff is ridiculous. So let's talk about it. 1971, San Rafael, California. The Waldos, as they refer to themselves, used to use the term 420 in connection with a plan to search for an abandoned cannabis crop based on a treasure map made by the grower. Because their typical hangout spot was a wall outside the school, the 5 students, Steve Capper, Dave Reddix, Jeffrey Knoll, Larry Schwartz, and Mark Gravich, designed the Louis Pasteur statue, right? Designated Louis Pasteur statue as the meeting place at 420. So that's essentially the let's get high. It's 420, man. It's 420. I think it should be legalized. I think we should take the stigma off of it. I think there are people in jail over stupid things. We're not talking about, like, if you're moving weight, there's a difference between somebody selling a dime bag, we got it for that, and somebody moving real weight, which is the drug term for lots of drugs. More and more states are going, and this is the beauty of our world, states are going, we have the rights, and the rights are given to us, and we're going to do this. We're going to legalize it. On the other side of things, the federal government just kind of goes, like it's the pick and choose thing. So let's just legalize it. Let's relook at a lot of these ridiculous convictions we have and move forward. The amount of money that we spend every year, and remember this, incarcerating people is big business. I don't know about you, but I'd rather see them on the streets trying to get their lives back together, participating in their children's lives. We're not talking, like, if you're a violent felon, to me, when I was a kid growing up, jail was for really bad people. The kind of people that make you go, I'm having trouble sleep. Not what a lot of what this is, which has become an industry. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. All that being said, on 420, it's a movie called Sasquatch out. It's on Hulu. It's a documentary. As those kids searched for the hidden weed farm, people have also looked for weed farms, not so hidden, and people have died.
I've been a journalist for about 25 years, embedding with street gangs, going undercover as a neo-Nazi skinhead. And I'm going to tell you the craziest story I've ever heard. I was working on a cannabis farm up in Northern California. I remember a guy telling me about 3 bodies torn to pieces. He said a Bigfoot killed those guys. A Bigfoot murdered 3 guys on a dope farm.
So a Bigfoot murdered 3 guys on a dope farm. So think about that. And you're thinking, okay, now 2 things could happen. They're lying, and that maybe they're using Bigfoot as the scapegoat. Maybe it's a bear. It's always a possibility. Or they've hired Bigfoot, and or Bigfoot loves himself some weed and will do anything to protect. But you think if Bigfoot's getting high, at some point Bigfoot's going to slip up.
The story of Sasquatch, or of man-like monsters, has been with us from the very beginning.
The Emerald Triangle is famous worldwide for producing cannabis plants.
People came here to get rich quick.
They don't want outsiders up there.
The rate of missing persons cases is the highest in the United States by far.
Many people have been killed up there and never found.
Sasquatch is dangerous.
Scared the crap out of me. I don't know if I believe in Bigfoot, but I sure as hell believe there are monsters among us.
Yeah, very cool. What a great thing to do, right? To use the legend of Bigfoot potentially to keep people away. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. You're probably thinking, my God, he just talked about weed and Bigfoot? I did. That's what you get here, kids, right? You want boring radio? Talk about the same thing all day? There's plenty of those shows out there. I'm not your cat. I'm talking about everything and then some. We're going to have a good time doing it. And that includes things like 420 and Bigfoot. That's diversity. Chad Benson Show.
Now's the time to earn your bragging rights and rule the road in a powerful Dodge vehicle. With enough style, horsepower, and performance to make your muscle car dreams come true, it's no wonder J.D. Power named Dodge the #1 ranked brand in initial quality and driver appeal for mass market brands. Join the brotherhood and experience the strength of Dodge muscle today. Visit Dodge.com or see your local Dodge dealer for great deals. Tied for initial quality study. For J.D. Power 2020 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag immigration reforms. Hashtag help. I'm trapped in a hashtag factory and I can't get out. The Chad Benson Show.
I always like talking about all kinds of things. See the reactions throughout the day I get. As people pick up the podcast. We're great podcasts are available. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend it, by the way. Makes your teeth better. Just the reaction I get. I know you're a super stoner. It's like, yeah, that's it. Do you not listen? No, nobody listens. Nobody listens anymore. You know what people do? They hear what they want to hear, and they run with it. That's the world that we live in. Well, I heard you talking about marijuana. You don't hate it, so must mean you like it. No, I just think it's stupid that we put people in jail for stuff that's just ridiculous. Because it cost us money. Is anybody aware of that? Like, who do you think? Do you think there's like a jail ferry that prints money somewhere? Well, I don't. Maybe. No. Doesn't work that way. At all. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Does anybody here know who Morrissey is? Raise your hand if you do. Yeah, if you said a sad, British, melancholy pop singer who apparently is offended by the Simpsons, you would be correct because they came up with I think his name is Quillaby or Millaby, a fake Morrissey character that you could tell it's Morrissey. I mean, you know who it is. And he's upset. Aww.
Sunday night, The Simpsons introduced the character Willoughby.
'Cause everyone is horrid except me.
Voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch, Willoughby was pretty clearly a spoof of the former Smith singer Morrissey, the show referencing Morrissey's strict veganism, his worldview.
This place reminds me of my own hometown. It's dismal and nothing good will ever come from it.
And also controversies, including comments seen as anti-immigrant Morrissey has made in the past. But Morrissey and his people weren't laughing. In a post on the singer's official Facebook page, Morrissey's manager Peter Katzis writes, "The Simpsons used harshly hateful tactics in a portrayal that was hurtful and unfunny."
Why was it hurtful? The fact that they're even talking about you should be great. Most people have no idea who you are anymore. You were so melancholy, you ruined a band called The Smiths that produced arguably one of the greatest songs of all time. And then you continued that by wandering around in sepia. I think he just walks around in sepia. It's like in jeans with your creepers on and your black coat. Just, I'm super sad because today's the day. Oh, yeah. Let's have some more fun with him.
Quillaby, is there anyone you do like?
Yeah, well, let me tell you something, Lisa.
Every day I try to smile, but can't help but frown. Every day I draw my bath and pray I will drown. I step out my door and I take a deep breath, turn back inside and pray for my death. 'Cause everyone is horrid except me and possibly you.
Possibly me.
Oh, everyone is horrid and my dear, I fear you are too. Oh.
That's basically it. Translation, I am better than everybody. So they should apologize to him. You would think it would be flattering. That's how you know that the ego side of things. Because when the South Park will make fun of people, some people get butthurt, and other people think it's awesome. It's great. I'm a part of that. It's like a part of history, like The Simpsons. You think, but you just proved them right about how melancholy you are. That's what happens when you don't eat meat. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Man, we got through this day unscathed. We do it again tomorrow. You know, tomorrow's that day when you got to go over the hump. I think it's a possibility. I think we could do it. You guys have a great rest of your day. Follow along on all the social medias. Chad Benson Show, Instagram, Twitter, and check out Facebook as well. Go get yourself a taco. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.